2, 1. Welcome in, guys, to another episode here on the NASCAR Gambling Network. I am your host, Josh Neal. Today, I'm joined by Ryan Stevens of Cup Corner. Ryan, thank you for coming on. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff here for Cup, but how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate this. I've been watching your show and kind of look forward to breaking everything down here. Talk about some betting, some DraftKings, and how crazy the pricing is on DraftKings, and we'll get into everything. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of my first look at the salaries, and I'm so lost right here. But anyways, we'll get into that. Just talking about last week. I have to get this off my chest because I was just telling Ryan before the show, but I was winning like 20K on that last lap. I was winning money on like every last lap. It seemed like this weekend. I mean, Jeremy Clements got penalized for doing what everybody else had done the whole day, cutting that little corner. I forget which corner it was, but I was so heavy on Jeremy Clements and DraftKings. He killed me. AJ Allmendinger, I had him and Chastain so heavy on Sunday. Man, it was a what could a weekend, and even in F1. I mean, I don't know how many people play F1 DFS, but Albon getting into Stroll killed me. I was tied for the I think it was 10 or 15, whatever the big contest was. I was splitting that, so it was one of those weekends where I was so frustrated because I could have walked away with easy 30K, but it's gambling.
In the F1 too. I was chopping first in the $33, and then that wreck happened right at the end, and ended up chopping fifth place with everyone. So big difference.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because in F1 there's so many people with the same lineups. I mean, if you got a clue about F1, I mean you can pretty much hammer what you need to and get it done. But man, it was one of those weekends. How did you do over the weekend?
I did really well on Sunday. I've been placing like a lot of bets earlier in the week to start the year and like trying to chase, value or what I thought to be value. And then this week I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait, see the speed. And if I lose out on a couple numbers or they get a little sharper, that's fine. And it ended up working out. I had 4 bets I put into our Slack channel at Gups Corner. And they were running 1, 2, 3, 4 with 2 laps to go. So I didn't think I had to sweat it. And then that last lap happened and had to actually sweat it when they're all there. And then luckily hit the Chastain and I got him at 20-1. So, I waited. You could have got a better number earlier in the week, but 20-1 I was fine with. And then on DraftKings, had the brutal, I put my ceiling projections in to the $1, 20 max, came in second, and then go look at the Chrome Horn and would have solo shipped that for 20K. So, just entering in a bad contest there. Overall, crushed cash games, though. So it was up a couple grand there. Could have been much better. And then hit the 20-1. So good Cup week. And then I had Clemens, too, like you said, though. That was frustrating. But
yeah, I mean, so many people did it. Like they even showed like a replay. Like I think Graxon and them followed him right in his footsteps, and they get him and Jeb Burton, I think, was the other one. And it was like everyone was running the same tire tracks on that one corner. It was so frustrating. But anyways, that's enough of that. I mean, I love road course racing. That's probably my most profitable in terms of DFS. But we'll move on here to Richmond. Man, so short track season has arrived. I'm pretty excited. I mean, Richmond's probably, it's kind of up and down. Sometimes it puts on a good show. Sometimes it's boring. I mean, if Martin Truex Jr., if he's going to lead every lap, it's a snoozer. But who knows? Toyota looks a little down after. I mean, they could have won that one race. I forget what track it was, but other than that, they've been dead. I mean, Denny Hamlin hasn't had a top 10 all year. I mean, it's kind of crazy just to think about. Kyle Busch has definitely been the class of the Toyotas. He seems to have that car figured out a little bit more at this point in time than his teammates. But just looking here at salaries, we'll do fantasy first. This is going to be a Cup focused show. Just looking here at salaries, you got Chase Elliott at 10.5K on DraftKings. So I don't understand this at all.
What's weird is that, like, for a road course, you could do this where you don't earn all the points for laps led and fastest laps. But like here, these guys' ceilings could be, well over 100 points. So like put them up to 12,000 or something and price down from there. This is really weird.
Yeah. And I mean, just looking at it, I mean, I'm not sure how many like punt plays you're going to have this week, just with, the top being so soft. But um, what's your reaction here to Chase Elliott being the top driver in terms of salary? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
No, it's pretty interesting. I thought that when the odds came out too, because I do my true performance ranks, and I have Blaney number one. It goes Blaney, Reddick, Bowman right now, and I just thought, like, with how fast they've been this year, I understand track history is important, and these guys, normally can have their setup right, coming in here all the time. But like, I remember we used Richmond as a comp for Phoenix for Christopher Bell, and that's another Toyota, coincidentally, and he didn't do shit there. So I don't really know, like, Elliott, the Chevys seem to be the ones to beat again. But Elliott, I mean, I wouldn't even put him number one on his team right now. With that being said, like, I did a couple little things earlier. I looked at some different strategy, and Elliott did make like a short list of like 6 guys that you and I'll get into that I really want to keep a close eye on. So I don't know if he should be the top price guy, but I'm definitely interested in looking at him.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, he's the only Hendrick driver without a win this year. So it's kind of crazy, but I mean, it's sort of a flat track. He's a road course guy. So, I mean, he's obviously going to be up there. Yeah, I mean, just from the looks of it, I mean, I'll have to see practice. I mean, now we get practice, and I don't know, I think it's probably 15 minutes again, but any practice laps is good practice for me, and the data and the lap times and all that.
Yeah, we should get some longer runs here too.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect most people to go out there on a long run. I mean, barring a track caution or track caution going out in practice. But moving down to Kyle Larson at 10.2K, I mean, we're back in an oval, and he's 10.2K when you could argue he should be 11 or 12K. So I'm sure he's probably going to be top 5 in practice. You probably hammer away at him. Kyle Busch at 9.9, like I was saying. I mean, this is a Gibbs track in general. And if you look at history, I mean, just pulling up racing reference here, and we'll just talk about all these Gibbs guys, right? I mean, we'll just talk about them all right here. Maybe outside of Bell. I'm a Bell hater, if you didn't know, Ryan. I hate the guy. Him and Eric Jones have cost me so much money in the last 3 years because it seems like.
Dude, I thought Jones did it to us again last week when he stopped on the track. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me with this guy.
It's everything. He hits the wall. He has a flat. He speeds on pit road. It's something. And then Christopher Bell, if he's chalk, I mean, it's never a good week if Christopher Bell's chalk, because he always disappoints. And it's like, I refuse. I mean, if I get beat by Christopher Bell, so be it. But anyways, enough about that. But going back to Gibbs, just pulled up racing reference here. The last 6 races at Richmond, do you, on the top of your head, which you probably already know this, but how many top 5s in the last 6 races does Martin Truex have?
Either 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, 6 of 6, Martin Truex top 5. This guy owns the place. 3 of 6 are Martin Truex wins. He has led 645 laps. And I mean, he's really the king of this track. I mean, you got Denny Hamlin. Brad Keselowski's led a lot, but, Brad Keselowski's in a trash car. And then you got Kyle Busch. So right there, your top 3 in laps led are all Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs is slow this year. So it's kind of like, we got to see practice. But just talking about all these guys, I mean, do you have a favorite of these Gibbs guys?
Well, I'll add to what you're saying too. This is pretty interesting. So I did what the optimal DraftKings lineups were, over the last races there. So the last 2, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex in the lineup. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex in the lineup. Then I went back even further. So I went back to look like, all right, so when they do practice and qualifying, because those were done by the formula. So like, all right, now they practice and qualify, who's in the optimal lineup. So this goes like 2017 through 2019, those 6 races. First one, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex. Second one, Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin. Third one, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex. Fourth, Kyle Busch. Fifth, Martin Truex. So like in every single lineup, one of those big JGR guys is in the optimal lineup. So I don't know. I don't know. This year too, it's like, I feel like you can get some leverage fading it, but it just seems so scary. especially these stupid prices on DraftKings are so low.
Yeah, and honestly, just going off of this pass rate, I mean, I know road courses and ovals you can't really compare, but Martin Truex is usually one of them guys where you're hoping to see some speed. Road courses, flat tracks. I was hoping to see a little bit more speed out of Martin Truex, but I don't know if there's a line he takes at this track that everybody else can't figure out, or they just have the setup nailed. I mean, we got a new car, so you got to take that into account. But it's like you said, I mean, Martin Truex has been in the optimal lineup so many damn times. It's like, are we really going to be a fool and think he can't figure it out this week? So
I know it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Busch. I mean, I think Kyle Busch right now would probably be my favorite Gibbs play just because he's showing the most speed. But I mean, even him, he's called his car. I mean, it's just a normal Kyle Busch, but he's called his car trash, shit. I mean, he said
It's
everything
basically every race with him.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's going to say his car's junk again, and he could come up surprised. But I
think Denny's sneaky. No one likes playing Denny. No one likes playing him.
And you know what?
He's like,
I mean, looking at his game logs, I mean, if you're looking just straight off game logs, which a lot of people do, they're going to see his trash. I mean, I'll pull up his finishes this year. He's finished 18th, 29th, 13th, 32nd, 15th, 37th. I mean,
he's burning everyone.
Yeah. So this is his home track, and even his home track fans boo him just because he hates Chase Elliott. But Denny Hamlin in Virginia dominates. Like if it's not Martinsville, it's Richmond. And this is the perfect get ride spot, like you said. I think a lot of people are going to be scared off of him, depending on practice, which Denny Hamlin doesn't really pop up in practice much. Like he shows decent speed, but over the long run, and if we get long runs, I expect JGR to be stout. Depending on this new car, we don't see a lot of long runs, but I mean, if we do get a long run, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to tell that in practice just based off speeds. Because if we get like a 60, 70 lap run, I could see Denny Hamlin, he's one of the better ones saving his tires. And that's another thing. I don't know your thoughts on tire wear, but I was listening to Ryan Blaney on Sirius XM. I think it was yesterday, the day before, but he was saying he's kind of interested to see how this new tire plays out in the new car. Like it's a whole different thing. Like he wants to see. Yeah. He wants to see, like, tires used to wear pretty at a decent rate at Richmond. Now you don't really know how they're going to wear. So there's a couple of variables here. But I mean, you got to expect a little bit of tire wear, fall off. But I mean, there's just so many variables. I would just caution people that if they're riding Denny Hamlin off, to just don't pay attention to practice times too much with him, because he's one of them guys that'll bite you in the ass. It's like if you pay too much attention to stuff like that, he will come out and he will dominate. I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever Denny Hamlin's like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14% on DraftKings, it's like those are the days he comes out of nowhere and just dominates.
Oh yeah. That's when I've had some of my biggest days are like, they just happen to be together. I don't know why, but it's Blaney Hamlin days. Like those happen to be on my biggest DraftKings days. So I don't know. There were 6 drivers in that. The thing I was mentioning earlier where I had a couple drivers I was targeting, Hamlin's one of the 6. So we talked about Elliott, Larson, Hamlin already, and we'll get to the 3 others. But yeah, I don't know. I think that combined with the ownership, like you're saying, Hamlin's going to be one of the guys I'm watching closely here.
Yep. I guess we might as well touch on the Penske guys here. Blaney, Logano. As a Ryan Blaney fan, I know we were talking about his pit stops. His rear changers can't change a damn tire to save their life. Whether that's the car set up too heavy in the back or just can't change a damn tire. His pit crew is so bipolar. They're either the fastest or they're the slowest. There's no median with them. I mean, they either get it perfect.
I tried taking out bad pit stops too to try and so when I did the 4 tire stop ranks, and I even took out what I thought were like outlier stops, and they're still just very, very slow. They're in like the bottom quarter of all drivers. So it's like, that's a tough team to get behind when his car's so fast, but they just keep screwing them.
especially when you're on a short track and, depending on how the track sets up, like track position could be king because, I mean, if you get behind a guy like Truex or Hamlin, you're not going to get by them. I mean, you need track position, and it's just been so frustrating. But going back to Blaney here, track history is terrible. He's obviously been top 5 in speed. He probably could have 2 wins by now if his damn pit crew could do something. But if you look at history here, and he'll even tell you, I mean, he hates this track. I mean, that and Darlington are his worst 2 tracks for whatever reason. I'll just go into his history here. So his first race here, well, not first race, but the first of the last 6, he started 4th, finished 19th. The second race in this, he started 22nd, finished 25th. Next one started 15th, finished 17th. Next one started 15th, finished 19th. Next one started 7th, finished 11th, so a little bit better. And the last one here last fall started 8th, finished 10th. So he has not sniffed the top 5. He might start there. I mean, I'm sure he's going to have so much speed. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to ignore him. But yeah, I don't, just based off track history and him even coming out and saying this is his worst track, it kind of makes me go away from him. I'm not going to jump to play this. I'm not going to jump to play him unless he shows some incredible speed in practice. And even then, I just don't trust him on a long run here.
Yeah, a little hesitation there for me as well.
So what's your thoughts on Blaney?
I feel the same way. I mean, there's it like you said, it's going to be hard. If he goes out there and it just looks blazing fast in practice, I mean, it's going to be another tease. I feel like it's every week with him. You're playing him and the finishes just aren't there, so he's not hitting that ceiling you can do. But I think here, if he is fast and gets out front and leads laps early, and I did notice, I forget what year it was, but it might have been 2017 or 2018. I think it was Kenseth on the pole. He ended up leading like 140-something laps, and he finished 20th, but he was still in the optimal lineup. So it can happen. It's just not likely, but if he's blazing fast, it'd be hard to turn away from him. He's definitely my favorite Penske guy here. Him and Logano. I'm not really looking at Cindric here. Does Cindric to you feel like, to me, he feels almost like a specialty type driver right now? He's like super speedway or road course, and that's it.
Yeah, so I was talking to my Slack DFS coaching, our Slack group, and he's always sitting there, and so far he's been like, nobody's going to play him like a specialty GPP play. But if you look closely, and I've noticed this from him, I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but I think he almost tries too hard. Like he runs so hard on short runs just to try to keep up with everybody. And I think he uses his stuff up way too early on these short runs. And, if you get a long run, he falls back at a higher rate than usual. So, yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean,
that's a good point because you see him qualifying high every week.
Exactly.
But he's not finishing top 10. So it's,
if you pay attention to him, he keeps up on the short runs. But I think, and that's expected with rookie drivers. They're going to use their stuff up. They're going to try to keep up. They're like, their ego is going to say, well, I'm just as good as these guys, so I'm going to do my hardest to, try to keep up with them. And I think that's exactly what's happened with them. If he can, he's got to win. So, there's no reason why he shouldn't be going aggressive anyway. But there's going to come a point where they're going to have to, I'm sure they've looked at the data and stuff like that with their tires and all that. But I think he's a specialty driver at this point because, at super speedways, you could argue Penske's probably the best at super speedways right now. But yeah, I have no interest playing him this week. That's for sure.
I'm on the same page there.
Going into Joey Logano. Now he's the complete opposite of Ryan Blaney at this track. I'll go over his last 6 here. So his last 6, he started 12th, finished 14th. Next one started 3rd, finished 2nd. Third one, 28th to 11th. And then the last 3 here, he has been just sniffing at the win, but he's not been as good as Truex and the other guys. But he started 2nd, finished 3rd. Next one started 5th, finished 3rd. The last one here last fall started 6th, finished 5th. So for me, if I'm going to play a Penske guy, it's going to be Joey Logano. But for me, he's not shown a lot of speed. He's definitely been the second Penske car this year. He's shown some, they'll stay out on pit stops, or they'll do 2 tires. They might sniff the top 3, but they eventually fall back. I think it's pretty safe to say right now they're like a 7th to 10th place car up to this point. But we're going in the short tracks. Joey Logano is a short track guy. He usually comes out at places like Richmond, Martinsville, Bristol. You see him. And for me, I think if he even shows decent or, in the 99th percentile in speed and practices, I'm going to start looking at him very heavily for this week. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I like him too. I like him if he qualifies 5 through 10 and we think he can top 5 or something. So you kind of pair him with 1 or 2 dominators, that type of build. He'd have to really go out there and show a ton of speed for me to think that he can get out front and lead a ton of laps, because exactly what you're saying, there's just faster cars out there. So I don't know. And his pit crew too, on the 4-tire stop ranking that I did, I gave them the 18th rank. So I don't think they're really doing him any favors either. So if that track position is going to be super important here, he's going to need that blazing speed to get back up there if they're going to continue to perform like that.
Yeah, I would agree. Moving down here, go to, I guess, next tier. We got William Byron, Chastain, Bell, Bowman, Briscoe, Reddick, Harvick. Man, just looking at it, I haven't seen Kevin Harvick. He's approaching 7K territory. That's kind of surprising, but just a couple of notables. Ross Chastain's finally getting salary compared to where his speed is. You could argue he probably should be in the 9K range for how fast he's been, but Christopher Bell, Bowman, Briscoe. Out of these guys,
I love this group so much.
I was going to ask you, how do you evaluate this? We talk about Gibbs, but I've done told you I'm not going to play Bell unless he's starting 35th. But who do you like out of this range? Tyler Reddick's kind of cheap here compared to his speed as well.
Bell's going to be popular here too. So if he does fail, you gain some leverage there, because he'll be talked up a ton from what he's done here in Xfinity. And also too in Cup, he's done really well here. He's a good racer at Richmond, but what worries me is how he performed at Phoenix. That's the most recent thing we've gotten to see. So I don't know, maybe he could figure it out here, like all the JGR guys tend to do. But Chastain, we're talking about track position. That team's got the number 1 4-tire pit stop rank as far as what I could look at and pull out. So my top 2 out of this range are Bowman and Chastain for sure. And I saw Bowman at 20-1 on Caesars, and I don't want to bet early, but that one is tempting. Chastain's 12-1 is the best number I saw on him, but Bowman at 20-1, I really like that. If he comes out and he's got top 5 speed, that number's going to be chopped in half.
I was going to say, it's was it Richmond? Was it last year or the year before? I think Denny Hamlin was dominating all day, and he got up there on a pit stop and he just ran away from everybody. I don't know if it was Richmond or what track it was, but he's the king of being
2 races ago. Yeah, he made the optimal lineup that day.
Yeah, so it's this guy, he's he doesn't show much at the beginning of a race, but I'm very high on Greg Ives. If we had a crew chief ranking, he'd be in my top 5. I just think he's a wizard. You can argue if Alex Bowman's a great talent or not, but I think Greg Ives is a very good crew chief, and he does a lot to make that car better throughout the race. So I'm with you on that. And 20-1. 8,500 seems so cheap. For a Hendrick car, a Chevy.
Even he's got the fast pit times too. I got him 6th overall at the 4-tire pit stop ranks that I did. So I really like that. And then you had mentioned Harvick too, and we can get into that, after we're done talking about Bowman. But all those guys you named, I just fucking love them. Reddick too. He's got my 2nd overall true performance rank this year. He's due for a win. So I just love all these guys.
It's did an intern price DK? It's kind of crazy because Harvick, we can talk all the shit we want about him, but he came alive at Phoenix. You could argue at one point it looked like he was probably going to take the lead, but I think those other guys were able to do a little bit more to their car. But I mean, he was a solid third in speed at Phoenix in that
Yeah.
race. So I don't think he's statistically been that great at Richmond, though. Just looking here, he's got 5 of 6 top 10s, but recently 7th, 24th, and 8th. I'm sure he's going to be there, but it's probably not his best track. But I mean, still $8K for Kevin Harvick.
I know, it's weird.
I mean, if he qualifies 16th and you need an 8th place finish at 8K, I mean, you're going to hammer that all day. So, Reddick, I mean, like you said, Reddick, I mean, it's ridiculous. He's even this
The thing
cheap.
is, they'll be so popular that you got to start thinking about guys like Harvick as potential pivots, because if just one thing goes wrong, Reddick's, probably 40% owned or more in tournaments at 8,200. It just doesn't, the price doesn't make any sense. Him and Chastain will be owned through the roof this weekend.
Yeah. And
so that's why I like Bowman, Harvick, those guys, Briscoe, even we can talk about him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Briscoe. I mean, nobody plays him. I think I went over the field on him this past week. And I mean, that was a good choice on my part, but I mean, it was like, nobody wants to play the guy. Nobody talks about him. He qualifies too high. I mean, he qualifies right there in that 6 to 11, 12 range, and his salary, it's like, do you really trust him to get place differential and a quality finish? But he's been the best Stewart-Haas car by far. And who won Phoenix? Was it Briscoe that won?
That was him. So we're going to use that as a comp. I mean, he crushed that race. He was awesome too. It wasn't a lucky win. He was fucking fast and was awesome that day.
So, I mean, this is the honey hole here. I mean, you could possibly just stack up 9K, 8K, 7K guys and have you a day. I mean, if qualifying, lines up right. But, I mean, that range is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think you got to pick and choose. Like, I think if you start your lineup, Chastain, Reddick, I guess even then though, with the prices being so low up top, there are a lot of different ways you can go. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it won't be as popular as I think because everything's priced so low. You can play whoever you want.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. The Cup side. So moving down here, the 7K range. I mean, you got Kurt Busch, Suarez finally starting to heat up on the salary. Almirola, this kind of seems like, Almirola loves those flat 1 mile tracks. He kills it at New Hampshire. I'd have to look at his stats here at Richmond. Eric Jones, I mean, talk shit. We can talk all the shit we want about Eric Jones, but he has speed. Keselowski should be in the 6K range. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, he's in a trash car. I mean, he doesn't need to be priced up unless
it's weird, but yeah, like he should be priced like Ryan Newman was in that car.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a name thing at that point. And then we talked about Austin Cindric already. And then Austin Dillon here at 7K. And I bet you nobody plays him again. This is the king of nobody plays him. He'll start 12th and probably finish 7th. And you'll be like, why the fuck did we not play Austin Dillon?
That's the thing is like, you got to kind of hope that he qualifies high. Because if he's in the 20s, then he probably does become the chalk.
And he never works out when he's chalk. He's always the guy that works out when he's 10% off.
So we got to hope that he qualifies top 15. That'll keep people away, hopefully. And Almirola, I agree. I think Almirola will be the other guy who's heavily owned here. I mean, we talked about the Stewart-Haas cars, with how fast Briscoe was at Phoenix and awesome he was there, and how, Harvick hasn't been great this year, but he's been better than good. So, I mean, he's solid. So this team, it's, last year when they sucked heavily for most of the year, a lot of people said they were looking ahead to this year. And it seems like that might be true because they're performing pretty well right now.
I would agree. I mean, everybody, Custer has shown some speed too. I mean, I would think him and Almirola are a little bit behind, but you talk about Almirola, he's 3 of 6. So he's half the last 3 of 6. He's been in the top 10. He has 6 8th place finishes and a 5th place finish back in 2018. So, and this is Almirola's last year. This is his bread and butter. I definitely expect him to hang around the top 12. Probably another guy, hopefully he qualifies, 14th or so, and he could be another Austin Dillon play.
Yeah, their pit times too, Dylan and Almirola, both pretty good. 5th for Dylan and 15th for Almirola. So
that
if track
definitely.
position is important, they haven't been, killing them all year. They've been helping them.
And Austin Dillon, 4 of 6 top 10s with 1 top 5 finish. So he's another one of the guys that loves these short tracks. So hopefully nobody plays him. I'll definitely play him. We'll see what happens with that. Let's see here. We're about 30 minutes in here. So we'll move down to the 6K range. I mean, rather than talking about all these people, who's your favorite 6K? I mean, does anybody stand out here in the 6K range for you?
Yeah, I'll tell you who stands out. Let me just go back to my initial ranks that I did here, and just see the lowest price guys that stick out. So Custer, like you mentioned, I mean, Custer's 6,100. That seems, just like everybody on the slate, that's just way too cheap for the potential of a Stewart-Haas car. Looking through it too, if we're gonna go can I go beyond the 6s? Want to go down to the 5s too? I'll just start naming value guys.
Yeah, we can talk about everybody at this point, I guess.
The other guy, Ty Dillon, then, he's 5,200. That's just where a junk trash car would be, and I just don't think that's what this team has right now. So that's a weird price to me.
Yeah, I mean, he sucks talent-wise, but again, his teammate has top 15 speed weekly. And it's he's probably going to qualify bad. He's probably going to qualify 29th or 30th. But at that point, it's a short track. You're hoping someone gets caught in a wreck, or someone, hoping about a couple of cars wreck or blow a tire, whatnot. I mean, he could slip up there to 23rd from 30th, and he's in the optimal. I mean, but, then again, it could be one of these weeks where you don't have to play him. He could be cheaper, and he's 10% owned. I mean, I guess it just kind of depends on how everything lines up. But, yeah, 5,200. I mean, it was the same story this past week. I went heavy on him. That ended up being okay, I guess. But he was lurking around 30th the whole race until the end. So,
yeah, I like the team. When you look at if I were to sort by pricing here and just look at the guys down in his range, and you look at look what I was saying about how they performed, in the pits and things like that. Everyone underneath them is 36, 37, 34, 33, 35, all in those 4 tire stops. He's 23rd. So, I mean, his whole team, like you said, maybe the talent isn't there, but his team is better than these other teams. It's just, if you're looking for a guy to move on up, that's one that I like. And then the other one I would say too has got that Penske affiliation would be Burton.
Yeah, I mean, he's been trashed this year. Again, you talk about talent. I'm not too sure he has it either. But Penske, I mean, this seems like I'm not too sure what you would call Harrison Burton's bread and butter, but it's Penske horsepower.
Yeah, I mean, he's 5,700. It's just so weird. It's in car.
What was Matt DiBenedetto last year?
Was 5,700.
Yeah,
I
that
know
would
they're
never
not the same
happen.
talent level, but go ahead.
I was going to say that never happened. I feel like Matt DiBenedetto was a solid 7K guy all year last year, maybe a little bit 8Ks. I mean, it's mispriced. And then Bubba, if we're talking about if it's a JGR weekend, I mean, Bubba Wallace could start 23rd, slip up into the top 15, and you're like, man, I don't know why I didn't play him. I mean, 5,900, I mean, we can talk about his talent too, but you can talk about all these guys' talent at this point down here. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, the cars at some point take over. I mean, when you're down here hunting for 6K guys, I mean, you're looking for car more so than talent. Looking Allmendinger, I mean, he's a road course guy. If braking, I'm not too sure on how Richmond stacks up in the braking zones and whatnot, but I mean, he's definitely going to be worth a look. Maybe if he qualifies 26th, 27th. Busher.
Yeah, he's one I want to see practice times on, because that Colleague 16 has been pretty slow. It hasn't been good. When Hemrick drives it or whatever, it just is not. That's not a winning car at all. It's weird how they can go out on a road course and his skill. I know that car is not one of the fastest cars, but he's so freaking good on road courses. I can't believe he can do what he can with that car. Yeah. I just imagine if he was in one of these other cars on a road course, it wouldn't even be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to be a big AJ Allmendinger fan, believe it or not. When he got the 22 car, I was like, I want to see what's going to happen. And then obviously he popped the Adderall, and that was the end of that. But I was so excited to see how many wins he could rack up. And he led that 47 car back when the 47 was probably trash compared to what it is now. And they
Yeah.
always seemed to be leading. And then his transmission or his engine or something would always blow.
Yeah.
Stenhouse at 6,500. I'm just going to pull up him, but
He's
uh,
always a wild card. I do like him if he looks fast in practice. He's one that another guy that people stay away from, known as Recce, so no one wants to play him. I mean, I don't mind it.
So looking here, when I'm going to do my projections, just looking at it, he seems to finish in that 15 to 20 range. He seems to be an automatic lock right there, just based on what we've seen. So he's last six, 13th, 16th, 15th, 18th, 17th, 23rd. So just from the way I can point it out, and I mean, if he's got speed right near that range, in my projections, I'm just going to put him down as like an 18th place car. Looks pretty safe to me. I get in trouble doing that sometimes, but once you see so many like numbers over and over again, this guy, I mean, he's not a flat track guy. You know, he's one of these guys. Now, when we go to Bristol, when dirt track comes around, or one of these other high banked tracks like Dover, he's obviously going to be great for his price.
Yeah.
But here, you're hoping he qualifies 28th and finishes 18th, and I'm sure that's going to be over his 5X. But
if we look at Phoenix too, like if we looked at that as a comp track, which I typically do for this, we can circle back to some of the guys we talked about, like Briscoe winning, but Elliott was very strong that day too. Blaney was the number one true performance in my eyes on that day. He finished fourth. And then back to Harvick, fourth best true performance rank as far as I had everything ranked out that day for 8K. I mean, right behind him is Reddick. Right behind him is Chastain. It goes right back to that juicy range we were talking about. I mean, that's just – those guys are going to be – Harvick won't, but Reddick and Chastain, I mean, they're going to be on through the roof. It's nuts.
Yeah, so it might be one of these days where you stack up on these 9K guys and live in the 7K range. I mean, I guess it all depends on starting position again. But any last thoughts here from the DFS side before we hop in on some quick head-to-head bets?
Not much on the DFS side. I can just say, like, so the six guys that I kept mentioning that came up, and we talked about them a lot, but I'll just say them again. Bowman, Chastain, Larson, Hamlin, Elliott, Harvick. Those are the six that I'm watching very closely heading into practice. So as we jump into these head-to-head bets here, I'm probably going to be on them if they're against anyone, if I'm betting early. But again, I've been on this train of waiting till we see all the practice times and laying some bets. But let's do it. What head-to-heads we got?
I guess, let's see here. We got tons to pick from. We got the featured matchups, but I'm never a big featured matchups guy. DraftKings usually has shitty ones.
Who's Harvick against?
Let me see. Harvick. Who is he against? Chase Briscoe.
Oh, that's tough. Teammates too.
Minus 110 for both. Here,
That's tough, man.
We'll go a couple of featured, and then we'll do a couple of just wild card matchups. So right off the top here, this one's kind of interesting. Denny Hamlin versus Joey Logano.
I would have Hamlin.
You would? I think I would agree. I feel like it's going to be a Denny Hamlin week.
Hamlin's one of the six that hits everything that I'm looking for heading into this. So assuming his practice times are fast, I would pick Hamlin over Logano every time. And probably be disappointed at the end of the race.
So the next one, Kyle Larson minus 125 versus Martin Truex at minus 105. That one's definitely, if Martin Truex shows any sign of life in practice, I'm probably gonna go Truex. But if I'm betting today, I don't know how you could go against Larson from what we've seen.
Yeah, that's a tough. That one just feels like a trap. I mean, that's tough. That's one that I would never do until I saw some practice time.
I'm not
So I
even
don't think
sure.
they'd swing it one way or the other crazy, but like if they kept it up, I think you can get an edge if you wait and see how fast they look.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd bet that anyway. If I'm being honest, I
Well,
mean,
that's the other thing too, is like because even then you could watch practice and Larson can be fast, quick, but we know
yeah,
Truex
long
can
runs.
save. Yeah, that's what I mean. So like I'd just stay away from that.
Yeah. Last featured one here. Chastain versus Reddick. Chastain -120, Reddick -110. I mean, are you going against Chastain at this point?
I don't see how we can. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just like I said, the number one pit stops, and he's got a fast car. According to my, ranks over the 670 races here. I mean, I got Reddick up there too, obviously, but in second. But I got Chastain fifth. So at the end of the day, if it comes down to that track position, you got Chastain with the number one 4-tire pit stops from what I could see over those 4 races, and Reddick with the 14th. So I don't know, but something tells me like Reddick's due. I just think Chastain got his win. I don't see him winning back to backs. That's kind of why like I wouldn't mind betting Bowman this week at 20-1.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Reddick's due. So I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
tough one. It's hard to go against Chastain though. I mean, his guy's just lightning fast right now.
Yep. I would agree. I guess moving down here, we'll do some lower tier matchups here.
You know who's top 3 in average finish over those 4 like 670 horsepower races?
Top 3.
Yeah,
I mean, Chastain's got to be one of them,
he's
right?
1.
Reddick,
Reddick's 3, and 2 is going to surprise you.
Briscoe,
Harvick.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, you wouldn't think that at all.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll go here. Let's see. Kurt Busch versus Eric Jones. Kurt
Man.
Busch -115, Eric Jones -105.
So looking at my pre-race ranks, I have Eric Jones winning that battle this week.
I wouldn't disagree from everything that I've seen this year.
Yeah, Kurt Busch seems to have these luckier finishes where he doesn't have the speed to get up there, but Jones has had the speed where even last week he stopped dead. He just blows right through everybody.
Yeah, I mean
this guy's fast.
Kurt Busch's pit crew and like the pit strategy has gotten him up there. I don't know how he ranks on the pit stops, but the calls anyway, like I forget, it was 2 weeks ago. I forget where they're at. I'm so lost lately, but it was 2 weeks ago or something. He beats Blaney. I forget the track, but it's like he had been 15th through 20th the whole race, and then you see him up there in the last restart, and he's like 5th. It made no sense.
Yeah, I think that was Phoenix. Like Phoenix, he where's Kurt? Yeah, he finished 5th at Phoenix, and I had him as the 14th best car. He's just like middling.
Yeah, it was junk. Here's a good one: Eric Almirola versus Daniel Suarez. Almirola the favorite in that matchup.
Let's see where I got these guys ranked head to head.
Suarez needs to put together a complete race.
Oh, I got him back to back. I got Almirola inching him out by 1. So just looking early, that wouldn't be one I'd touch, but come practice time, if that confirms Almirola, I'd be all over that then.
Yeah, I think
I like him better here too.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is his bread and butter, so I would go Almirola.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's do 2 more and then we can wrap this up. Joey Logano versus Kyle Busch.
That's tough too. I think I got to go Kyle Busch. I mean, we're naming all these optimal lineups. It's not Joey Logano's name we're saying Kyle Busch half the time with Hamlin and Truex. So, and then I look at my initial ranks too. I got him 2 spots above Logano. So that's how I got to roll. For everything that he does and gets all the shit he gets into, when he just stops for a regular 4-tire stop, his pit crew is actually really good. So
that's Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch. Sorry. Yeah. So I would have to roll with him looking for track position here and just track history in general. Logano's been awesome here. It's not like he's not good at Richmond, but Kyle Busch is the one that's out there leading laps, making optimals. And so if I'm going head to head, I just pick Kyle Busch every time.
Yep. Okay, last one here, and then we'll pick a race winner. Don't want to do a bad one, but don't want to do a Logano. We've done 2 Loganos. Alex Bowman versus Kevin Harvick.
Oh, that was tough too. I have Harvick ranked above him, but I just have this feeling about Bowman. I don't know. I think I'd have to go Bowman there.
Yeah, I think I'm going Bowman as well. I can definitely see like a caution fest the last 50 laps, and Greg Ives can pull some magic out of his rear end. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's see here. Just looking at odds, I'll go ahead and I'll pick my winner, and then I'll let you wrap it up and give whatever you want to give out to people. Plug your stuff and all that. This week, I mean, I still don't understand why Chase Elliott's a favorite. If I'm looking at this and how unpredictable the season's been like so far, why should I expect anything different than Joe Gibbs Racing to come out of the woodwork and win? So I've said it 2 or 3 times already. I think it's a Denny Hamlin week, and I think he finally wakes up. He'll get his first top 10. Plus 1,200. I mean, they're not great, but I mean, everybody's laying on top of each other. So I'll go Denny Hamlin plus 1,200. And I mean, top 5 is plus 130. So I'll take some stabs at that as well.
Yeah, that's not bad there. Like I said, he's the only JGR guy in those 6 guys I named. So if I had to pick a JGR guy, I think I'm going to roll with Hamlin with you. And I think that will be a little different doing that on DraftKings. I'm not sure, I don't know if we just live in this Twitter bubble where people hate Hamlin. So that's why I think they're not going to pick him. But I don't know. I think Kyle Busch is a bigger name, and Truex has that dominant history here. So, all right, I'll just, you
do you here.
I want to roll. My heart wants Reddick to finally win, but I'll roll with Bowman just because I like the number a little better. I like the 20-1. So I think I'm gonna bet Bowman 20-1 on Caesars and let it rock.
Okay. Well, that'll wrap it up for the content part. You want to do any plugs here? Any of that good stuff before we wrap it up?
Yeah, all my work is at gupscorner.com. I put out an article every week for Cup, and then Jim does all the trucks and Xfinity. We use the same type system for projections for all 3 series, true performance ranks for all 3 series. And now I've just incorporated some pit stats into the Cup stuff too, so you get all that on there. Plus, I posted on Twitter at Han Yolo, or you can just search my name, Ryan Stevens. But again, gupscorner.com. And Josh, man, I thank you for having me on. It's been awesome.
Yeah, definitely. It's been quite the change up just focusing on Cup, but I've enjoyed it a whole lot more than talking about Spencer Boyd and some of them scrubs and trucks. So yeah, it's a pleasure having you on. The pit stop stuff, I'm sure I'll talk to you later about it this week. But man, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate everything.
With that being said, if you guys enjoyed the show, please feel free to give a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Helps out the YouTube algorithm and helps me on my quest to 1,000 subscribers. I know I've kind of been inconsistent the last month, but new job, been settling into that, just trying to figure out my daily schedule, but hoping that I can do this weekly again. I've been half-assing it here lately, but we'll try to get Ryan back on here. Try to get everybody. I mean, I'm trying to loop around the NASCAR world here in fantasy circles. So
yeah, anytime you want to talk racing, man, I'm down. It's fun.
Yeah. So that being said, we'll wrap it up here. Let's everybody win a lot of money this week. No F1, so it'll be NASCAR only for me. So with that being said, we'll see you guys later.